As someone who loved Balan the boy, I found it hard to believe that there were people who didn't like it. But if you really think about it, Balan breaks one of the most fundamental concepts in storytelling. And that, I think, is exactly why some people walked away unsatisfied. The hero's journey is a narrative template popularized by Joseph Campbell in his book The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Campbell studied myths, religious stories, and folk tales across cultures and centuries and noticed that they all shared the same underlying shape: the hero's journey. A narrative template in which a protagonist leaves their familiar life, faces a decisive crisis in an unfamiliar world, typically guided by a mentor, and returns transformed by what they've endured. The transformation is the point. The audience's emotional payoff comes from witnessing the distance between who the hero was and who they have become. An easy example is Faisal's arc in Ustad Hotel. Faisal lives a life of comfort, but circumstances throw him into a life of struggle alongside his Upupa. Through that struggle, he becomes wiser and eventually finds meaning in his passion. We are shown the privilege he started with. We are shown the difficulty that he endures. And we are also shown clearly the person he becomes by the end. The film hands us all three beats deliberately so that the transformation lands. Now, contrast that with Balan. As the title suggests, the boy is the protagonist. So let's trace his arc the way we trace any heroes. From the start of the film, Balan is completely obedient to his mother. She cooks up stories about their past and he religiously adheres to each story. When he escapes police custody, it looks like he's free of that construct. He finds a new mentor in Abbas. And this is usually the exact point in the template where the hero grows, where he discovers a new skill, a new perspective, something that will let him face the inevitable crisis ahead. But Balan does not undergo a transformation. He simply continues existing until he is stumbling back into his own past. The same bus stop where his mother once told him to wait for her. The first time Balan's mother told him to wait, it reminded me of the poem Casabianca by Felicia Hemans. The poem is based on a true story from the Battle of the Nile, 1798. A young boy named Casabianca was told by his father, the ship's captain, to hold his post until ordered otherwise. The ship caught fire, the father died below deck, and the boy, not knowing that his father had died, stayed exactly where he was until the flames reached the gunpowder and the ship exploded with him still standing on it. It's framed as heroism, but strip away the Victorian romanticism and all we see is a child who would not think beyond his father's command. That is Balan's tragic flaw too. His trust in his mother is absolute. There's a concept in developmental psychology that explains exactly what's happening to Balan. It's called secure attachment, a psychological framework developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth describing a child's confidence that a caregiver will be available and responsive when needed. The caregiver functions as a secure base, a fixed point of safety that the child can return to, which in turn gives the child the confidence to venture out and grow. In healthy development, this security is the foundation that makes exploration and transformation possible. The child doesn't stay at the base, they use it to leave. Balan's mother is supposed to be that fixed point that lets him go out into the world, take risks, grow and return changed. But Balan's secure base was interrupted before it could do its job. His mother left him there and didn't return. And what should have been a launching point instead became a fixed coordinate his mind orbited around for years. In his mind, the bus stop is the place he must eventually return to in exactly the state he left it. Unchanged, still waiting, still obedient. This is what makes Balan different from a simple hero's journey failure. He isn't failing to grow because he is weak. He is failing to grow because the very thing that should have enabled growth, a secure, trustworthy attachment to a caregiver, never got the chance to finish forming. He is securely attached to a memory, not a person, and a memory cannot update itself. When Balan realizes that Pavitran has the wrong person, he goes back to the bus stop, and he is finally reunited with his mother. The first thing he asks her is exactly the same thing he asks her at the start.
അമ്മേ നമ്മുടെ പുതിയ കഥ എന്താ?
Same question, same boy in every way that matters despite the many years in between. It indicates that Balan has not had any real growth as a protagonist. His hero's journey is incomplete, and for a lot of viewers that is a problem. The climax of that template, the hero's visible transformation, is what gives the audience catharsis. We watch suffering because we expect it to mean something by the end. Balan asks us to watch the same suffering to produce the same boy. But I don't think it's a flaw in the film. I think it's the film's actual argument. And to see that argument, you'll have to stop looking at just Balan alone and start looking at everyone around him. Look past Balan and we see that every major character in the film carries a psychological wound that explains the way they behave. The mother is running from a trauma of a toxic relationship. The Amama lives daily with the knowledge that her own son works for the people who tortured her and her husband. Pavitran is driven by the need for revenge that has become the central theme of his life. And Abbas is dealing with addiction. None of them are villains, at least not in their heads. All of them are flawed. All of them are, in their own way, broken. They all have reasons for behaving the way they do. Reasons that make complete sense from inside their own heads. That's what Balan the Boy is actually about. It's not the story of a boy escaping generational trauma and emerging wiser on the other side. It's the story of a collection of flawed people, each walking a flawed path that feels entirely justified to them. And the film holds up a mirror, asking the audience whether the reasons we use to justify our own choices would survive being examined by anyone other than ourselves.